What is the difference between I have done, which is present perfect, and I did, which is past simple? We'll start out with a quick example. In the sentence, I have lived in Moscow for 6 years, or I've lived in Moscow for 6 years, that would mean I moved to Moscow 6 years ago and I still live here. However, if we change it to I lived in Moscow for 6 years, that would imply that in the past I moved to Moscow, lived there for 6 years, and then moved away, and now I'm living somewhere else. So using these two examples, we can conclude that we use present perfect when an action started in the past and is still continuing. I have worked as a teacher for 10 years would mean I'm still teaching, whereas if I say I worked as a teacher for 10 years, that would mean I'm no longer teaching. Easy, right? But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more to it than this. Using the following tips will help to identify when to use present perfect and when to use past simple. Tip number 1, look out for these words that can give you a clue which tense to use. We say, I had 5 cups of coffee yesterday, because yesterday is over, right? That's why I had. But you say, I have had 5 cups of coffee today, because today is not over yet, and you may still have more coffee by the end of this day, or before this day ends. So the clue words here are yesterday, past simple, and today, present perfect, which, today hasn't finished yet, this day hasn't finished yet. That's why we say, I have had. Let's have a look at another example. We say, I was at the gym last week twice, or I was at the gym twice last week. Okay, and that's not the point. But we say, this week I have been to the gym twice. So before this week ends, you may still go to the gym again. So have you noticed? The clue words here are last week, past simple, this week, present perfect. All right, here's a tricky one. So let's imagine it's 3 p.m. right now. And you say, I saw Karen this morning, because the morning is over. Now, if it still was the morning, we would say, I have seen Karen this morning. Another one. Last year, I had 3 business trips abroad. This year, I have had 3 business trips abroad. Last year, I traveled abroad twice. This year, I have been abroad twice. I have been. Have you noticed? Imagine Polly sells vacuum cleaners, and she might say, yesterday, I only sold 20 vacuum cleaners, whereas today, I've already sold 30. Tip number 2. If the sentence tells you when the action happened, you use past simple. But if the time of the action is irrelevant, it has to be present perfect. For example, I have lost my key. Does it matter when? No, it doesn't. What matters is, I don't have my key now, so I have lost my key. Doesn't matter when. Now, let's change it to, I lost my key when I was at the gym. So this part where it says, when I was at the gym, gives us this information about when it happened. That's why we use past simple. I lost. Again, I've lost my key. I lost my key when I was at the gym. I have made a pie. Would you like to try it? I made a pie last night. Would you like to try it? In the first example, we just said, I've made a pie. But as soon as we added last night, when last night, we changed it to I made a pie last night. Tip number 3, look out for these clue words, for and since. So if we are talking about how long something has been happening, that means it's still happening. So we need to use present perfect. So whenever there's for or since in the sentence, you use present perfect. It may sound a bit complicated. Let me give you an example. I know Jim. How long? I've known Jim for 3 years. So you say, I know Jim, but as soon as you want to tell how long, you say, I've known Jim for 3 years. Or, I've known Jim since 2017. I met Jim in 2017. When? In 2017. That's why I met. I've known him since 2017. Betty is married. She has been married for 5 years. She got married 5 years ago, and she has been married since 2015. She got married in 2015. Another example. How many books has this author written? She has written 30 books. She's still alive and she may write many more books in her lifetime. Now, how many novels did Jane Austen write? She wrote many. Jane Austen has been dead for over 200 years, so she can no longer write more stories or novels. Have you ever played chess? Yes, I have. I have played many times. When did you last play chess? I played it a long time ago. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit like. Yeah, that was professional. Okay, done. And here's when I find out that the mic wasn't on.